Hey everybody, this is the video for the Mineral Identification Lab. Just a reminder, this is the first year that I've done this identification, and I'm hoping that everything works really well, but if we have any problems, we may have to make some adjustments. I would like you in each class period, I want you to elect one person who is going to be the representative for your group. And that one person, if you guys come across any troubles or issues, or you're stuck, you have questions, that one person will come back into my classroom, not all of you, okay? So pause this video right now and elect one person. Okay, so now you're back, and let's go ahead and go through your Mineral Identification Lab manual. I asked you guys to, before you start using the kit, to watch the video. You're doing that right now. When you're finished with the video, I'm going to have you guys read this information out loud together. So you're going to go read page 1. It sort of just introduces the idea of using these cards, which I'll show you in a minute in the kit. Read the second page. It's going to tell you specifically, step by step, how to use the cards. That's interesting. Hopefully you guys won't have that on yours. Yeah. I had some printing issues. So anyway, I'll make sure that yours doesn't have any issues. So I'm going to show you and demonstrate how to use the lab sorting operation. But once you finish the video, you're going to want to come back and follow these steps. It tells you in step number 4 to use the mineral identification data chart. And that's in the back of your packet. I'll show you that in a second. The next page talks to you about the lab report, what expectations I have for your lab report, what it's going to look like. I've got an example of a badly written section. I've got an example of a very good identification. So I want them to be like that. Here's your format. And then this is an example, like pretend I took a piece of paper and I wrote out how I want you to write the lab report. So it starts here, it ends here. Hopefully you guys understand that. And then I have a rubric. So all of you guys are going to look through that together as a group when you get done watching the video. What I want to talk to you about today in this video is how to use this data chart and how to use this lab identification kit. So you're going to want your notes that you took, especially from yesterday. And the characteristics that we're going to be focused on today is color, luster, hardness, streak, cleavage or fracture, and any other identifying characteristics. And then I've got a space right here for you once you've got it figured out to write down the name of your mineral. You're going to use this to kind of organize this information for your lab report. Okay? So the color, luster, hardness, streak, cleavage or fracture, and other identifying characteristics. I went ahead and put this information here on hardness, and I'm going to explain what that means in a second. I'm going to start right here with color, and I'm going to go to number 12. So I'm going to turn the page. Feel free to include the information as I go through it so you can have one of these minerals totally identified, okay? I'm not going to write it down because it's too cumbersome. When you open up the mineral identification kit, I showed you guys yesterday, you've got all of the minerals, they are numbered. Please make sure when you are finished with one mineral that you put it back and you make it so that the number is right side up and that this is kind of free of any dust or, clean up any little bits and pieces as you get to it. Let me talk about what's inside this kit. This is a magnifying glass, and since you're going to be really talking about one mineral at a time, it's probably just a good idea to have this one magnifying glass. You can pass the mineral around with a magnifying glass. There's 2 different magnification for these 2 lenses, so you'll want to use that. There is a nail, and that will be really handy for, I'm going to try and see if I can show you guys, you can see it a little better. But this will be a good tool to use if you want to smell one of the minerals because you need kind of a fresh surface. I have a copper penny. I have a little magnet. We've got these cards, and I'll talk to you guys about the cards in a minute. I'm going to move them off to the side. I have this long tool here that we need to use in conjunction with the cards. And I have a mirror. Now, I've got the mirror in a plastic baggie because I don't want anybody to cut themselves. We're going to use this as a way to scratch it to find out about the hardness. And you need to use glass. And so we're just going to use this mirror. I think that's the best way. Please be careful of the corners. You can hang on to it using the bag. Oh, hey, there's me. You can hang on to it using the baggie, and I think it'll be a little bit safer for you. But just do be careful of the corners there, okay? If you break this on accident, accidents happen. If you break it, please let somebody know immediately. I do not want you guys picking up the pieces. And the last thing I have in here, this is an unglazed tile. And this we're going to use for a streak test. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to grab this mineral right here, and this is mineral number 12. And I'm just going to let you guys take a look at it, and you certainly can look at it in your kit. Okay, pretty unusual. Kind of, let me see if I can get a nice, if I can focus that up there. I don't know if that's focusing. All right, so this is mineral number 12. So on your data chart, the first thing you want to do is you want to identify what color it is. There we go. So you're going to go ahead and write yellow right here, okay? The next thing we want is luster. Before we do that though, I need to show you how to use these cards. So I've got all of the cards. It doesn't matter what order they're in, but I want you to notice that the cards have, let me use this black background here. That might be easier to see. The cards have all of these little holes punched out, and then sometimes they have notches. And so number one, please be very careful and don't tear these to make holes or notches where there's holes. It's actually really important, this system. So you're going to put all the cards together, and you just need to make sure that right here on this corner, all of the slanted corners are all together. Then that way you know that the cards are in the right order or the right direction. On one side, you're going to notice all kinds of character traits. I've got hardness, color, luster, streak, whether it has a distinct cleavage or an indistinct cleavage. Remember, cleavage is whether it looks like it has like it breaks off into sheets or not. Then we have something called fusibility. We're not going to use that one. We also have specific gravity, and I know that you guys read about specific gravity, but that's a really hard one to replicate or to test in a junior high setting, so we're not going to use that one. This one is magnetic, and then it says before heating. You guys certainly can use that little magnet that's inside here and see if it's magnetic. That would be a good thing for you to choose. Ores, gem minerals, we're not testing any of that. Rock making minerals, I'm not asking you guys to use those at all. And then it has some other things around the edge that is a little bit more difficult to use. So really the only ones that I'm going to ask you guys to use are hardness, color, luster, streak, and then the distinct cleavage, and that's about it, okay? The rest of them, I'll show you how you can figure it out. So I've got all of my little cards right here. And what we were going to do is I'm going to start with color because that's the most obvious one for this one, number 12. And if you look on here, we've got different types of color. I do have one that says yellow, orange, cream, gold, brass, or bronze. So what I'm going to do is I got to make sure that these cards are kind of nice and close together. I'm going to take my long tool. I'm going to insert it into this hole that says yellow. And this is the cool part. Hang on to this really carefully and then shake it out. Okay? And especially at the beginning, you kind of have to really shake, kind of separate them very carefully. Make sure no cards got mixed up. Okay? Oops, there goes a couple. Okay, it looks good. All right, so then these cards here that didn't fall, these are an absolute no. Okay? If you look for color, see where the yellow, it was notched out. So all the minerals that are yellow are in this discarded pile, or the pile that fell. These that are not yellow, I'm going to put these cards off to the side, and I'm going to gather these up and get ready for the next one. So in your color, go ahead and write down yellow in your data sheet. And then let's move on to luster next. Well, luster is, we're looking at whether it's metallic to submetallic or whether it's non-metallic. And if you look at this very carefully, you can see it's non-metallic, right? All right, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to use my tool. I'm going to put a hole, grab those through there, okay? And then I'm going to let it go. Oh, we weren't left with very many that were non-metallic. So these go in the discard. These that fall are the ones that I'm going to pick up and get organized again. Okay. Oops, I need to make sure that they go back in the same order. All right. I'm going to try and get this out of the way so you guys can see this a little better. Okay. So next on my data sheet is hardness. What I'd like you to put down here for luster for right now, just put non-metallic. And then when we look at the back of the card, it has the more information. I'll show you what I want you to do with that in a second. Okay, so the next one is hardness. And I've got 3 different ways that we can test the hardness of this. First one is a fingernail. And a fingernail, if I can scratch it with my fingernail, it's going to be less than 2.5. Okay, because a fingernail is a hardness on Mohs hardness scale of 2.5. If I can use the penny that's inside here, that's copper on there. Copper has a hardness of 3. And so if I can't scratch it with my fingernail, but I can scratch it with a penny, it's going to be between a 2.5 and a 3. Let's say that I cannot scratch it with a penny, then I'm going to go to a piece of glass, and that was that mirror that I showed you here. Just use the corner of that to try and scratch it. If I can scratch it with a piece of glass, then I know it's going to be between a 3 and a 6.5. That's not narrowing it down a whole lot, but it's better than like not having any idea. If I can't scratch it with a fingernail or a penny or a piece of glass, then I know the Mohs hardness scale is going to be greater than 6.5. And so just do your very best to guess what it is here. If you've got any questions as you're working your way through here, just let me know, okay? So I'm going to take my fingernail and I'm going to try and scratch this. Okay. Oh, here, this is a good one. And I absolutely can scratch it. Can you guys see how brittle that is? I'm going to, let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So I can just take my fingernail and I can scratch it, and you guys can hopefully see right here where I'm scratching it with my nail. All right, so this is definitely a 2.5 or less. Okay, so then for your hardness, for number 12, I want you to write down 2.5 or less. So then we're going to come here to the cards. I'm going to go to hardness, and I've got right here where it says up to 3. Well, I know it's not more than 3. It's a 2.5 or less. So I'm going to use my tool. I'm going to put my tool right in that hole where it says up to 3, and I'm going to let these cards fall. And again, always try and fan them out. Make sure you don't have any cards that got stuck. Okay, great. Remember, if it's left on the rod, I don't want these. So discard those. And it looks like I only have 5 cards left over. Nope, 6. I've got 6 cards left over. Great. So now we're gonna get to streak. Streak is a little bit challenging. You're gonna take, this is called a streak plate. Let me get my paper out of the way. You're gonna use the streak plate, and what we see here is the mineral on the outside. And a streak is, once I scratch it on this plate, you might think that it's gonna scratch off yellow, but sometimes the streak is actually a different color than the mineral. And that helps to identify, because that's a very specific characteristic. So I'm taking an unglazed porcelain square. If I can, I know in your video it showed the guy was using sandpaper, and if I have time to go to the store today after school, I may grab some sandpaper for you guys and you can use that too. But here's what you do for a streak plate. You literally just scratch it on the streak. Okay, now I'm going to bring this up to you because I want to show you something. Let me get it focused just a second. Come on. There we go. Now you might see some really light, fine powder, and it's yellow. That's not what you're looking at. Let me kind of blow that off. And do you guys see that there's really no, it's kind of white, kind of honestly translucent streak? There we go, that's a good, see how that just doesn't have a yellow tint to it? So the streak would be colorless. It's not even really white. It's just kind of translucent or colorless. So I'm going to put that back, and I'm going to look at my card, and I look right here at streak. Hang on, let me get it focused again. There we go. And I'm going to look at streak, and the color is colorless to white, black to gray, yellow, orange, green, or red. Well, here's the kind of crappy thing. All of them have that notch in colorless. So there's nothing I can do with that. They're all going to be colorless. All right. So then we go to cleavage or fracture. Well, if you look at this very carefully, cleavage means it can break off into sheets. Let me give you a little bit of a hint. When you guys look at number 4, I'm going to bring it up and focus here just a second. When you guys look at number 4, you're going to see how easily that thing is going to break off into sheets. So this would have cleavage, okay? This is nothing like it. Now, I can look right here. I'm going to try and focus. Sorry, you guys. Come on. Oh, it's trying to do the, here. Let me do this. There we go. So you can see it's kind of, the word I'd like to use is amorphous, meaning it doesn't really have a specific shape to it. If this thing broke, it's not going to break off into sheets at all. And so this is what we would say it has cleavage, which means when it breaks off, it doesn't really break off in any particular pattern. It can just kind of be amorphous, not a really specific shape. So that means that I need to look on my cards, and I need to look at the distinct cleavage or indistinct cleavage. It has kind of, let me try distinct cleavage, indistinct cleavage. I'm gonna say it has, do we have, I'm gonna say, let's try, hang on, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat because I wanna make sure that I don't, yep, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, it doesn't have distinct cleavage because it's all different shapes, and it's not like a specific pattern. It's not like oh, I don't want to say crystal. What is the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. I'm sorry. Anyway, because it's so irregularly shaped, kind of all kinds of amorphous bumps, it's not a pattern that's going to be repeating over and over again. So then we're going to take and go indistinct cleavage. There's no patterns to it. And then these are the ones that I want, that I've got left. Okay, so perfect. This is what I did last night, and it worked out perfect. Great. Okay, so now I'm left with 2 cards. And if you would look on here, you would say for number 12, indistinct cleavage. Then I've got other identifying characteristics. So you could take your magnet, and if I put the magnet on here, it's not magnetic, okay? So I would write non-magnetic. In your article, you read that maybe there was some kind of a distinct smell, or oh gosh, what are some other things? You look on your notes, and any other kind of identifying character traits, you can definitely see if you can make some identifications. This one, if I take the nail and scratch right here on the surface where it's, you want to get a fresh surface. So scratch just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it to my nose. I'm going to smell it. This has kind of a rotten egg smell to it. So I would write down here my other identifying characteristics: non-metallic, or I'm sorry, non-magnetic, rotten egg smell, anything else that you guys find. So they don't have any kind of rotten egg smell or anything like that on here, but what I can do is I can turn them over, and I have 2 choices. One is sulfur and one is bauxite. Now I know that sulfur has a rotten egg smell to it, and so I'm pretty confident that this is the one that it is. It says it's brittle. This one is brittle and crumbly. So we've got some choices. This is where in your instructions, I tell you guys, let me get to that page. In your instructions, oh nice, okay. Yep, it says, once you have narrowed it down to 2 or 3 cards, you've observed all the characteristics on your data chart, you may need to do a Google search to help you with the identification. So look on the back of the remaining cards and then search each mineral. Look at the images first to see if you can make an identification. So what I want you guys to do is go to Google, type in sulfur, S-U-L-P-H-U-R, and I want you to look at the image and see if it's something that looks like this. And then I want you to go in and type in bauxite, B-A-U-X-I-T-E, and see if that looks like this. And I'm not going to tell you which mineral it is because I want you guys to figure it out, because I'm mean like that. So once you've got it and you've got all your characteristics filled out on that data sheet, then you can move on to the next one. You guys can work on this in any way you want. You can see I'm a little nervous. I'm not quite sure if you're going to be able to finish in time. And so if you want to divide and conquer, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe break up into with a partner, and you guys go through and do all of find out all the character traits for yours, and then you guys can share however you want to do it. Okay. Let me know if you've got any questions. And when you're finished watching this video, then I'm going to have you guys, remember, I want you to read through your packet, make sure you understand what you're doing, and then you can move on, okay? All right, you guys, take care. Let me know if you've got any questions.